A young man, Rahul, is street. He looks around with a concerned expression on his face. On his right side, he spots waterlogging, causing inconvenience to pedestrians. On his left side, he witnesses sanitation issues, garbage cans lying unattended on the road, emitting a foul smell. In front of him, the road is riddled with deep potholes, making it difficult for vehicles and pedestrians to proceed. He's unsure of how to address these pressing issues. He takes out his phone and dials his friend, Krishna. Rahul. Hey, Krishna, I need your advice. I'm seeing some serious problems in our city, and I don't know what to do about it. Krishna is on his computer, researching a solution. Krishna. Rahul, I've got just the solution. There's a website called grievance where you can easily lodge complaints and grievances regarding issues like these. They even have a chatbot to guide you through the process. Rahul. That sounds great, Krishna. Okay, but what if someone doesn't know language like English? Krishna. Well, here you can report the problems in your regional language by chatting or talking to the multilingual chatbot. Plus, you can check the status of your grievance. Rahul. Thanks, Krishna. Rahul ends the call, determined to take action and contribute to improving the city.
So, our problem statement is under the Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs. The problem statement code is SIH 1516. The statement titles is Suggest an AI-based solution to enable ease of grievance lodging and tracking for citizen across multiple departments, with the team name of team developers and the leader's name being Anushka Kohli. Now, as the current scenario is right now, if there is any grievance from the end of the citizen, the common citizen, what they have to do is they have to do their own research into which particular government body is responsible for this grievance, and then maybe they have to go online to that government body's website, which may or may not be working, which may or may not be functional, and then lodge a complaint, or otherwise they will have to go offline to the office and then figure out to whom to whom they have to go and lodge the complaint. Now, what we suggest right now is why not automate this system, right? So this is the approach detail that we have. So the proposed solution aims to address the challenges faced by the citizen by lodging the grievances in the Indian cities and rural areas by introducing AI-powered chatbot, wherein the user will just come to our system. He doesn't have to do any research on his end. He will just come to our system, maybe type out his query to the chatbot, or if he is not comfortable typing out, he can even read it out loud, and our chatbot should be able to understand the query and give back suggestion that okay, this particular grievance has to be lodged in this particular department. So all the particular government departments also will be enrolled into our system only. So this is a one-stop solution for every department. Now, once we have the query, either the user can generate a complaint on by themselves, or they can ask our chatbot that okay, please generate a complaint from my end, or on my behalf. So what our chatbot does is it automates the whole system, generates a query with a unique ID, and gives it back that okay, this is your query ID, a grievance ID, and later on, if you want to like check the status, you can come to this platform only at this link, and you will be able to see the status of your query. Now, after this, the user does not have to do anything. He just sits back and checks the status every time. Now, in the backend, what will be happening is this particular grievance will be transported, or maybe will be popped up to the particular nodal officer. Now, the nodal officer is that particular person in the department, in a particular district, who knows about the department, who knows that okay, this who can at least judge that okay, this query will be handled by this officer. Now he creates a path, and once he creates a path, that particular grievance will be routed to all the officers that have been named in that particular path. So one by one, that the grievance travels through those officers. Now again, there is no other thing that the nodal officer has to do. is just this responsibility that he has to like fulfill. And once the query is going through all the offices, they take a look at it. Maybe they need some more information. They can put that into the chat, and the user will be able to see that in their status bar. So when they are checking the status, they can see that, okay, this particular officer maybe needs a bit more detail. And once the query is resolved, that particular officer will mark it as done. And once all the officers have marked it done, then only that particular query will be termed as resolved. Now, again, the whole system should will be automated. Nobody has to maintain any register or log. Everything will be done by our system only. The technologies that we are using are MongoDB, Node.js, Express.js, React, Python, machine learning, AWS, and serverless. Now, like one of the best features that we are trying to introduce is, first of all, accessibility to all the Indian citizens. We know India is a diverse country wherein not everybody is comfortable with English. So we are thinking of putting in multilingual interfaces so that the citizens don't have to learn English or maybe know English in order to pose their grievances. Secondly, we want it to be real time so that all the informations are sent to that the particular emails of the users and the officers even. Other than that, also, since everything is done on our system only, we can ensure it to be a transparent process. So we can check, or in fact, the admin has the ability to check that, okay, this particular query is under this officer's, like under this officer for a quite a bit long time. It should not have taken this much long for this officer to resolve it. So then, then they can maybe take action that, okay, why is this query taking so long? So transparency is something that we are offering. Multilingual support and accessibility is something that we are offering. Smart automation that needs minimal user interaction is what we are offering here. And with the access to all this data, we can even provide a analytics dashboard wherein we will be able to show the user that, okay, and provide them data about the inter and intra department comparison all throughout the previous years. So we can give them a bar chart or maybe a bar graph or maybe a pie graph showing that, okay, this particular department has these many queries unresolved and these many have already been resolved. Or maybe that, okay, this department has performed really well in the past session, but this department compared to the previous one has not performed that well. This can even be used as an advertisement by the government. Now, after that, the approach detail is basically a holistic. What the use case that we are trying to solve here is a holistic grievance resolution platform that eliminates the need of users to do research on their end. They don't need to do anything. They just need to come to our system, post their query, and everything else will be handled by us. The user-friendly chatbot facilitates citizens throughout the entire grievance process. So even if they have any queries regarding the whole process, they can ask the chatbot. The chatbot will be intelligent enough to answer them. The major dependencies that we have here is data availability, because accurate and current government data is initial for the effectiveness of this routing, and availability of linguistic resources is also needed. Now, one of the showstoppers that we think we will be facing would be like government collaboration, because this is an integrated system which will be really dependent on government collaboration. Unless and until we have the data, we it will be really hard for us to build the system. And then the second issue that we might face is user adoption. We have to aware the users, maybe launch campaigns, let them know that there is a system like this wherein they don't need to do anything. They just need to come here, post their grievance, and then get it resolved. So a bit of promotion efforts are there in place. They have to be put in. Now after that, let's look a bit at the member details. So this is a bit more about the interior of the system itself. So we have a front end and a back end, which is connected by this API layer. In the front end, this particular front end is for the citizen only. So the citizen's front end will have a text to speech parser, which will be converting text and speech. And then we have a chatbot layer, which will be able to submit grievances, which will be able to track the previous grievances, or even show the resolution of the previous grievances if they are resolved. Now, once the user has raised a particular grievance, the front end talks to the API layer, and the API layer triggers a Lambda function. So this Lambda function is basically a serverless function. So first of all, it will be accessible to everybody, and it will be robust. And secondly, what it does is it's basically calling Llama index. We are using Llama index um, for mapping the grievances to the particular departments. And Llama index internally uses GPT-4, which is a large language model, and we know how powerful it is. So it will be able to figure out that okay, this particular grievance has to be routed to this particular department. Now, how does GPT-4 know that? For that, we have our database. So all the context will be fed, which departments are present, and all those things will be fed from the database itself. And other than that, we will be maintaining a S3 bucket, which will be working as our context data store. So whenever a particular grievance is finally resolved, that will be added to the context that okay, if the grievance has this kind of prompt, then it should be routed to this particular department. So Llama index in itself does some semantic analysis and figures out which particular department is responsible for this. Now, other than that, we will be doing a lot of prompt engineering so that we can restrict the user from not asking irrelevant questions to our system. So those things will be taken care of. Other than that, and yes, whenever particular query is resolved, this particular Lambda function will be called in and it will be fed into the context. So whenever a new query comes in, we take in data from the context, we take in data from the database, and then Llama index decides which particular department is responsible. Other than that, we have a Node and Express server. This is handling all the authentication, utilities, routes, and controllers. The database currently we are going to use MongoDB, but later on, if like we can switch the database even if need be. Now, for a quick look into what are the different kind of users that we have on our platform, let's look at this. So first of all, we have citizen. There can be n number of citizens. Now, they have the ability to raise grievance, check status of raised grievance, mark grievances as resolved on their end after the grievance is resolved from the officer's end. So this is another checking that we are putting into place, that okay, once all the officers who were assigned to that grievance have marked it done, the user will have to verify that okay, yes, it is resolved, so that we can again put in transparency into the system, so that it's not only from the end of the officer, the user is also agreeing that okay, yes, it is resolved, so then only that will be marked as a resolved grievance. Other than that, we will have officers. Now officers can be of different kinds. Now we have like two kinds for now. We have the nodal officer who is responsible for creating the path for a particular grievance, and we have a general officer which can have multiple posts, which are of the other posts of officers. Now these officers are who will be actually handling the query. The nodal officer only has one job. He just checks that okay, this is the query. Now I will assign this particular query to this officer, and this officer of my department. That's the job that nodal officer has to play. Other than that, the powers depend on the designation. So nodal officer and other general officers, the difference is just in the designation. And then there will be an admin. The admin has the greatest powers, things like assigning officers to designation, be able to watch all current users info and maybe watch the officers info, create new officers, give them new designations, remove designations from the officers. All these powers reside at the admin's end. Now, regarding that, we will be having different dashboards. So, for example, we will be having a dashboard for the citizen, a dashboard for the admin, a dashboard for the nodal officer, different post officers, and by default, the officer will see a empty dashboard. So, let's say there is an officer who has no designation, they will be seeing an empty dashboard. Now, once the admin has assigned them any designation, maybe of a nodal officer or maybe electrical officer of PWD, then they will be able to see their own dashboard. Now, again, a quick look into how the dashboard should be looking, like how we are visioning the dashboard to look like. Let's log in as a user for now that I have already added in the dash or the database. So if I sign in as a user, this is almost how we are planning it to look like. So I can maybe record something. So hello, is this being recorded? So it listens for a while and see, so transcribing works fine. And the automation part is not yet done. So this is what we have built during the college hackathon, the college SIH hackathon level. So so far, this is what we have built in. The chatbot working for a few cases, like otherwise, but right now the automation part has not been done yet. So integration is left. Other than that, the user can see all the previously resolved queries or maybe asked queries. So for example, this query number is partially resolved and these two are unresolved yet. So if I track the status, so the clerk has resolved it, the clerk has resolved it, and it has still not been resolved because the user has not marked as done yet. And other than that, the user will be able to see all the analytics that, okay, these many cases of or these many grievances have been lodged and resolved. They can lodge a new complaint here for now because the integration part of the chatbot is yet to be done. So for now, this route is working totally fine. They can raise a query. Otherwise, from the end of the admin, how it looks like is, let me just sign in as an admin. There we go. So from the admin's end, the admin can actually create a department, create a district, create a use officer, or maybe manage officers also. So they can update the officer wherein they can put in the post district department and email of that particular officer and maybe see the analytics itself. Other than that, we have the other users also. For example, from the officer's end, so let me just sign in as an officer. From the officer's end, the officer can see the particular query that has been routed to them. So they can also mark it as done or maybe open it to see what is the grievance. My electricity in town is out for 3 days. So things like that. My complaints and analytics is also visible to them. Other than that, we have the final kind of user, that is the nodal officer. So the nodal officer can see the queries to mark to their particular district and department. Now, after that, they have the power to add a node or create a path for that particular query, and they can track the status also. For example, this particular nodal officer has given this path to the query. So there are three clerks in between, and then finally the status is grievance is unresolved yet. The only part that needs a bit more work would be the chatbot integration and automation of the chatbot, so that we can raise queries automatically from the chatbot itself. And otherwise, we will have to work on the multilingual part. We will have to implement that so that it supports multilinguality. Yes, that's it. Thank you.